let it go. 52 times a year, the week is done and over with before you know.
Thank you very much indeed. Hello, good evening and welcome. I am David Frost and this is That Was the Week That Was. Finally, after 60 years, the third series has finally arrived. After the first two series were cruelly cancelled by the BBC and the then Tory government under Harold Macmillan. This week, a Tory fundraiser sold a crystal-encrusted portrait of Rishi Sunak for £25,000. Michael Gove was later found to be licking the portrait after someone told him it was indeed encrusted with crystal meth. If you're looking to do something on your holidays, you can stay in an old army tank in Cornwall with a kitchen built inside. Or, if you prefer, you can be buried in one in Ukraine. Whilst on Monday, Caleb Cooper from Clarkson's Farm admitted he only pays himself 50p an hour despite his success on Amazon Prime, which all goes to prove if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Also, on Monday we heard the worrying news that the UK risks falling behind Poland, according to Labour's Keir Starmer. Those of you with good memories will know that Poland has been knocking us out of football competitions for the last 40 years. So that's about right then. Final news on Monday was that short-lived British company British Volt had been bought by Australian firm Recharge Industries. Question is, why was this important part of our industrial future allowed to fail and be bought up on the cheap by far-right libertarian Australians? But don't we roll over and let the Australians beat us at cricket? So, why not? Metro News informed us that a family drove 2,600 miles to adopt a dog with a crooked smile. If you look at the picture, the other dog is saying, "All this bloody way, and you could have got me a better looking boyfriend, couldn't you?" In The Guardian, lawyers for Britain's best loved fake liberal Gary Lineker said to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs Tax Inquiry, "You're looking in the wrong place." As a consequence, HMRC have decided to consult VAR. Everyone's favourite psycho granny cabinet minister, Therese Coffey, told us all to eat turnips this week. But farmers say they're not even in season. An anagram of Therese Coffey turns out to be cheery toffees. So why the hell didn't she suggest we eat those instead? Towards the end of Tuesday, we were all able to breathe a sigh of relief. Brexit has finally been done. Soon the cucumbers, tomatoes, celery and lettuce will be flooding across the border. Wait a minute, there isn't any. Exhausted after watching the latest fake boxing match, I tried a Prime Hydration milkshake at one of Hull's latest cafes. The Prime milkshake went down faster than Logan Paul and packed a lot more punch. This week we read in The Guardian that Heinz are to give a new boat to a man who survived on ketchup while lost at sea. The man who thought he was about to be given a motorboat received a disappointment when it turned out to be a sauce boat in the post. Our new Queen Camilla has a son called Tom Parker Bowles. The Times asked, is this the firm's new secret weapon? For those of you who go back to the 60s, the firm was the name of the criminal paedophile outfit known as the Cray Gang. So this is a bit like Barbara Windsor marrying Ronnie Cray and all the Cray kids becoming Windsors. Over to our sports correspondent. The Isle of Man this week recorded the lowest ever T20 score. Spain beat the Isle of Man at cricket when they only scored 10 this week. Next week, Spain will play the Isle of Woman team, who hope to go one better and score 11. In Cambridgeshire, a bone comb made from a human skull was dug up during roadwork improvements on the A14. The implement turned out to be very useful because the skull comb is enough to make your hair stand on end. The royal family are in all sorts of problems. Prince Andrew is resisting a move to Frogmore Cottage for crucial reasons after the Meghan Markle and Harry eviction. In 1875, Queen Victoria had breakfast at the cottage and noted an immense number of little frogs, which she found quite disgusting. Prince Andrew is now alone at Frogmore Cottage, but Prince Charles is still waiting for him to croak. The Daily Star reported that a surgeon had to leg it down half-a-mile-long traffic jam to grab a critical organ to perform his operation. The surgeon's heart was beating 10 times faster than usual and asked to be put down so it could have a rest and a quick fag. The most bizarre story of the week came in the New York Times when we heard about a whiskey fungus fed by Jack Daniels encrusting a Tennessee town. So that sausage, tomato, fried bread, egg and grilled whiskey fungus, otherwise known as a full American breakfast. Earlier in the week, Channel 5's Dan Walker had a nasty accident on his bike. He thanked his makeup artist for covering up the bruises when he returned to work. Dan has since been arrested by the police and charged with attempting to conceal and cover up a crime. During the Partygate debate this week, it emerged that Gavin Williamson had said that teaching unions just hate work. Teaching unions said that in particular they hate nasty pieces of work like Gavin Williamson. The exposure of emails this week led us to hear that the government had considered exterminating all pet cats at the start of the COVID pandemic. When asked if he wasn't a cat lover, Matt Hancock said, "Well, I don't mind the fat cats, but as for the rest of them, I don't give a damn." The Mirror reported that Prince Andrew may be forced to leave the Royal Lodge due to a major damp problem. So, Prince Andrew has moved from palace to lodge to cottage. What next for Andrew? The royal cardboard box, perhaps? As part of a team-building exercise looking at trying to be successful in the next general election, the Tories booked an entire £400 a night luxury hotel. The Tory National Front currently has 356 members of Parliament, and the hotel has 251 rooms. So, using my swingometer, I make that a projected Labour majority of 300 seats. Guardian revealed that Idris Elba said, "You can make sparkling wine in Portsmouth or champagne in Champagne. My ambition was to make champagne. Whilst me personally, I'd have settled for a crate of beer in Plymouth. But then I'm a man of the people and not a champagne-swilling lovey like Idris." The Daily Mail asked this week, could King Charles save the UK's only poisonous snakes? Royal residences could provide a refuge for adders, he said. So, will the royal residences become home for snakes? Well, the latest move for Prince Andrew suggests they already are. Much loved Uri Geller's White House-style Berkshire mansion is currently on sale for $7 million, according to the Times. There are, however, problems with the plumbing, as all the pipes have formed a massive U-bend. Those of you who grew up in the 70s or 80s will be pleased to know that people with mullet hairstyles have more fun than those with traditional trims. No, wait a minute, there's been a correction. People with mullets are made fun of more than those with traditional trim. For those of you who watched Queen Camilla on the Antiques Roadshow this week will already know she was terrific fun as she guessed a mystery item. You may not have known the mystery item was one of the royal crown jewels she stole from Princess Diana and keeps in a knicker drawer. One of the main news stories this week was the fact that Sue Gray is getting a new job with Labour, and according to the Telegraph, it stinks. So that's more of the 50 shades of grey that are currently being thrown at Matt Hancock. The stink is apparently so bad, everyone will be forced to wear a mask all over again. There have been so many strange and sudden deaths in Russia, it's been difficult to keep track of all of them. This week, a scientist behind the Russia's Sputnik 5 COVID vaccine was found strangled to death with a belt. So it looks like the scientists behind the failed AstraZeneca vaccine have got away with one yet again. That's democracy. In an exclusive in the Mirror, Russell Grant, Astrologer Royal, admitted being in denial over the brain tumour as astrology hinted at a diagnosis. Russell's fate was in the stars, yes, the ones he could see circling round and round his head. He learned the shock news in the Mirror that ministers considered killing all cats at the start of the pandemic. Tory ministers wanted to kill all cats, whereas Labour would have settled for killing all the fat ones. The Evening Standard reported that Sadiq Khan has been accused of trying to chuck up any old crap to meet London housing targets. The number of high-rises built under the Tories have fallen, while the number of high-rises that have fallen under the Tories has risen. The ever more ingenious Ukrainians started to build tiny drones made of cardboard to bombard the invading Russians. Putin is now cowering under a hail of plastic aeroplanes, clockwork tanks and plastic toy soldiers in his bedroom. Over in America, the more intellectual New York Times wrote, "The opposite of Schadenfreude is Freudenfreude. Here's how to cultivate it." I remember from my A-level psychology, Freudenfreude is the joy we derive from others' success, in particular Sigmund Freud. It was a sad Sunday when a possum feared extinct was discovered being cooked on a hungry family's barbecue. Philip Schofield has asked for some recipes to go with the ones he has for squirrels. Whilst a Jeremy Kyle show guest who famously had skull inked on his face tragically died this week. So that's another victim caused by the Jeremy Kyle show. Does Jeremy have a little skull tattoo for every guest he's killed? And now a phrase not heard of since the days of Harold Wilson. A week is a long time in politics for Rishi Sunak. The news was welcomed that after 6 years, Northern Ireland is now back in the EU with a brilliant new deal. So, what on earth happened to Brexit? One of the many emails released this week showed that Matt Hancock wanted to frighten the pants off everyone during the pandemic. Perhaps this move was inspired by the inability of Matt Hancock to keep his on. With the King's coronation just around the corner, pubs can stay open until 1 a.m. over the bank holiday weekend celebrations. "Oh, thank you, sire. Much obliged, sire. Whose round is it, sire?" "Yours, you bloody little oik frost." This week there has been a whole army of people questioning how and when to kill all the squirrels. "Squirrels stew anyone," said the iNews. So we have run out of tomatoes and turnips, which means that the Tory National Front have decided that we peasants have to forage in the woods for bloody squirrels. We learned from iNews that the world's first cowboys came from Romania, Hungary and Bulgaria, not America. But nowadays, cowboys can be found on checkertrade.com. Finally, what fun it is to be a Freemason. leather-clad bikers have turned into Freemasons in order to accelerate the membership drive. The unanswered question, as ever, is, do bikers roll their trouser legs up? Well, this has been David Frost on That Was the Week That Was. So goodbye, good evening, and see you next week.
That was the week that was. It's over, let it go. 52 times a year. The week is done and over with before